You've probably already filled out your fair share of job applications. While the formats may be different, all of them are designed to do the same thing, to quickly screen applicants. After all, employers often get hundreds of applicants for the same job. Using a standard form, they can ask key questions that allow them to quickly weed out majority of job seekers. Even the way we complete applications have changed. Nowadays, many job applications are completed electronically at a kiosk or online, but the information you need to provide is much the same. While you don't have to worry about the neatness of your printing, you still need to be careful not to make errors. Whether you're filling out a piece of paper or an electronic form, be sure to review your answers carefully before submitting your application.
They're going to ask basic information such as your name, your address, things of that nature. They want to know your educational experience. They also will inquire about some of your job history. They may ask about military history, and then they're going to ask about your possible criminal history, if any. And that's one of those situations where you must tell the truth. Answer those questions appropriately. They may even ask if they can contact someone to get some insight on you, so references, but these are typical things that the application will ask. And one thing that I would really emphasize is take your time and answer those questions honestly. A slip, a mistake, inadvertently could kill a job interview. So make sure that your answers are, and don't be afraid, tell the truth. In one job that I had a couple of years ago, several years ago, part of my responsibility was to screen job applications. And when we looked at maybe 30 people and decided to bring in 10, then we would get the 10 applications to screen them and make sure that everything was answered, that everything was legible. And when the recruiter would interview the applicant, they would then call us to make sure that they got the same answers in the interview that they got on the application. So it is critical to be honest on the job application because it will follow you.
Before you fill out an application, you need to gather your career details. Most of this will be on your resume, and you can have a copy on hand when filling out applications. Make sure you have the following: all of your contact information, including phone numbers and an email address. A complete and detailed work history including dates, addresses, phone numbers, and names of supervisors. A complete education record including degrees earned, dates completed, and honors and awards. And the names and contact information for at least 3 references. Also, be sure you have an electronic version of your resume if you're completing applications online. Having the information is one thing. Knowing how to best present it is another. Here are a few tips for filling out job applications correctly. First, provide only positive information. If you can, avoid including anything that would worry an employer. And be sure to use any space available to address your specific strengths. Second, try to explain gaps in employment. This is one thing employers look for. If you did any part-time or volunteer work during an employment gap, be sure to include it. Third, if asked about pay and position desired, you may want to avoid specifics. For pay, simply write open or negotiable. For position, give a general title, such as administrative support, rather than something specific, such as file clerk. Unless, of course, you are applying for a specific job. Finally, if asked why you left your last job, avoid writing that you were fired or laid off. Instead, write, "We'll discuss in an interview." It's important not to leave any blank spaces on an application. In fact, most online applications will require you to give some kind of answer. The key is to keep your answers as positive as possible.
Remember that your goal when filling out an application is to get an interview. To do that, you need to try to avoid saying anything that will automatically get you rejected. Employers don't decide who they will hire based on an application. They only decide who they definitely won't hire.
Here are a few more tips for completing employment applications effectively. First, follow all directions. Be sure to read the entire form before writing anything. Among other things, applications are designed as simple tests to see whether you can follow instructions. If possible, try to complete a practice application before submitting the real thing. Be neat and complete. If it is a paper application, print neatly in blue or black ink. Avoid any spelling or grammatical errors. If you are filling it out electronically, be sure to review all of your answers before hitting submit. And most importantly, be honest. Lying on an application can be cause for dismissal later. While applications are a necessary step, remember that simply going and filling them out is not an effective way to get an interview. For starters, you don't get to speak to the hiring manager, which makes it difficult to make a positive impression. In addition, applications usually provide very little room for you to address your strengths. While filling out a bunch of applications may be a good way to get your first summer job, it won't be enough to get the job you really want now. Let's take a moment to review what you've learned in this video. To find work quickly, you have to get organized. That includes organizing your time and your files, as well as your workspace. It also means getting everything together to fill out an application effectively. Create a daily job search schedule and stick to it. Create weekly goals for the number of interviews you'll schedule and take advantage of normal work hours to make contact with employers. Create a system or use a computer, smartphone, or other device to track your progress, organize your contacts, and keep appointments. Create or find a workspace that is clean and quiet and has all the resources you need. Finally, be prepared when filling out applications. Remember that they are designed to screen you out. Do everything you can to make a positive impression in the space provided. Getting the job you really want won't be easy, but if you get organized at the start, you will be more productive, which will boost your confidence and lead to you finding work faster. Just be sure to set your goals and stick to them.